the difference between the audiences. You know, you toured a lot of countries in the past, and you released some CDs. And what is the difference between, you know, especially what the UK audience, what I have heard?
UK versus Germany.
UK versus Germany versus US. This is a triangle, you know.
Okay. Well, it's very, very different. UK audiences, if they like you, if they like your music and they're a fan, they go insane. You know, you walk on stage and they're right with it from the word go, dancing from the word go. And I like a big intro, and I come on looking all moody. And when I come on stage in England, there's a big cheer, and they love it. In America, they will give you massive support with it, even if you're crap. You know, I've seen some very poor bands get enormous responses in America, and I loved touring America. Loved it. I love the country. I don't care what people say about the people, because they're so generous and friendly. You know, they may not be the brightest country in the world, but they're nice people. Germany, I love the place. I love the people. I love the scene, but the German audience is incredibly hard. You know,
Totally.
Well, the reason for that is, you have Amphi, you have GOTHIK Treffen, you have Dark Dance Treffen, you have Etropolis, all these festivals, and people can do so many things, and they get to see Front 242, Suicide Commando, And One, Unheilig, Project Pitchfork every single week touring, and so they're spoiled. You know, it's a case of, come on, impress me. You know, when I walk on stage, it's a case of, you know, they'll look at me and say, come on, show me what you've got, which I like, actually. I like the challenge, but it's a much bigger challenge than either the UK or America.
Yeah. You know, it's
proud of yourselves.
I don't know, but you know, you're absolutely right. The Germans said something. Okay, let's go. Yeah. Show me what you got.
Yeah. I mean, I recently recorded with Tiscaluda, which is an unusual combination, because they're very EBM, you know, quite military beats, and I wrote the words and I sung it. A song called For Their Glory, and we supported Tiscaluda at the album launch. Great friends of ours, and I really like them. Their audience didn't want to like us. I think they thought, this guy's not wearing combat gear, and he's wearing makeup, and he sings, and he's not shouting. And there's all these people in combat jackets, and you know, a real sort of strong nationalistic
hardcore guys.
Absolutely. And I think it's great that they sort of vent their frustrations through music or other things. Bit intimidating, but I could see them starting to get into it. You know, slowly but surely, they were thinking, this has got some beat to it. And when I actually did the duet with Klaus, they went fucking crazy, and it was brilliant. And so I think we've got some hardcore Tiscaluda fans now.
This is a mixture, a convention in between the Roleplay convention and the GOTHIKA fair.
Yeah.
And we have a huge medieval market over there, and it's quite difficult to play for this audience, which is extremely expecting, you know, medieval sounds.
Yeah.
You do electro sound, bass sound, basically.
We don't have any lutes or drum. It's all synthesizer, bang. Yeah. I'm looking forward to, actually. I think the crowd are amazing. I think it's one of the. I mean, we have nothing like this in the UK, nothing at all. I mean, the role playing scene in the UK is there, but very, very small. Yeah. This is fucking enormous. It's massive, and to see people making the effort and being involved in it, and so many different parts of the scene crossing over. You know, there's the Gothic people here. There's Mittelalter people here. There's Star Trek fans. There's a lot of Star Wars people, and thousands of people with the trading cards. It's really, really cool, and I'm not frightened.
You should.
The people should be frightened. Yeah.
I hope so. You know, from what I've seen from you on some internet shows, your show is really kicking ass. You know, so this is very interesting for me because you reach other people.
Yeah.
And they will like you because you transport the feelings and the power you have.
I hope so.
On the people.
I mean, I've always wanted, you know, with my own music. I think it's very easy in electronic music, and you see it all the time, to be two guys behind synthesizers and one guy standing like this. Yeah. Being all moody and.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And who wants to watch that? You know, there's already been a Pet Shop Boys. You know. I want to be a rock star. I want to be throwing shapes and going across the stage like a maniac and doing what I wanted to do since I was a kid. And I want to make it look like something entertaining. And so, because they're my lyrics and they're about my life, I can actually get those words across to an audience. And I think that even if people don't particularly like the kind of music we do, I think I'm certainly entertaining because I'm fucking crazy.
Yeah, I expect this. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because it's the feeling and the power you transport to the people.
I hope so.
And it's basically, it's a show.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. There are a lot of bands playing just with 2 drummers or keyboards and 1 singer, which is sounding quite good on CD, but it fucks live.
Yeah, and so few bands can sing live, and there's far too much of the shouting thing. Combi Christ are brilliant at it, but you don't want another Combi Christ. And there's 1,000 bands trying to be Combi Christ, just like 5 years ago there's 1,000 bands wanting to be VMV Nation. And in Germany particularly, you have 2,000 bands wanting to be Depeche Mode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I love Depeche Mode, but it astonishes me how popular they are here. I mean, Mesh do well here, don't they? And Mesh is so much like Depeche Mode, in so many good ways. But I really want to put on a show, and I want it to be atmosphere. I don't smile a lot, because it's not happy music. And if I do smile, I just tend to look a bit crazy. And I want people to be entertained and find me a little bit frightening.
If you can convince the people on stage, it's much more valuable than any other promotion we usually do today. We do radio interviews, TV shows, and print interviews. But live on stage is the best promotion you can get as a band.
And if I could play every night of the year for the rest of my life, I would. I love it more than anything, because I got to travel to Cologne. I think this. I'll be honest with you, and this is absolutely true. I was saying this to my wife earlier. This is my favourite city in Europe. I think it's the most beautiful city. To drive round it, the cathedral, it knocks spots off London, and so I think the only way to take your music to the people, particularly on this scene, because it's so small, compared to the mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is to go out and play live, and that's how I built Deviant in the UK. I started playing to 20 or 30 people, and I played to 20 or 30 people, and 10 of them bought my EP. And then the next time in that city, it would be 50 people. And it was a long, hard slog, but I loved it. And those people are all still with me now, and they bought straight into it, because there's so much problem with downloading that songs mean nothing now. Whereas, I remember when I grew up and Gary Newman's new single came out, I would go to shop and I'd buy the 7-inch and the 12-inch and the picture disc.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait to get home to play it.
Yeah.
Now, people say, oh, new album Deviant UK, download, new album And One, download, new album Agonize, download. And those songs just become, bytes of information in a file of 10,000. And it means nothing. But if you go on stage and deliver that song with the way it should be delivered, and impress the people with the image and the way you look, then it's the only way to do it. So I would play live forever, and I would rather do that than anything. I'd rather play live than record, to be honest.
Yeah. You can't copy that. You can't copy the feelings. The audience takes something with them.
Yeah.
We had a talk with Mozart yesterday, Umbra et Imago,
Sure.
and he is really a complete different guy. It's transported is on the stage with a little humor, but his music is sounding more serious than he himself is. He is serious, of course, but he's a very smart and very funny guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's an interesting difference, and I think this is the secret of some musicians doing very intimate, powerful, and emotional music, that they transport their inner feelings on the stage, and they are not bad guys,
I think the thing is, quite often people say to me, I like your alter ego, that my stage persona, and I'm, which one? I don't have one. It's me, and because it's my songs and my feelings and being communicated the way I want to do it, I just be me. Obviously I can't walk down the street going, but that's what that's what helps communicate the feeling in the song. But I don't really put on an act. I just do my thing. I'm pretty much that person all the time. I think David Bowie, for example, would slip into the Ziggy Stardust persona, or into the Major Tom persona, with the help of thousands of drugs, and that worked very well. But I don't like the idea of taking the coat off at the end of the night and going back to being normal, because I don't really remember what normal is.
It's this sounds that you're living your dream in some way.
Honestly, I couldn't be happier in my life. I spent a long time being very successful as a sales director, earning 100,000 euros on a big Mercedes, and I was working 9 till 9 every day and traveling thousands of miles, and I hated it. I had all the money in the world, but I hated it. And when I got a record deal, my earnings went, but I got to have the best life in the world. I'm here in Germany talking to you, meeting really cool people. I get to perform on stage with my songs, my band. I'm here with my wife, who's fantastic. You've seen her in a nurse's outfit a minute ago. Every German in the place his tongue's hanging out, and she's mine. And I get to travel around, and it may not be a lot of money, but it's the job I always wanted. I couldn't really have these eyebrows, my Augenbraw, and the crazy Augen, when I was selling recruitment. But now I can do what I want to do, and it's the best life in the world. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with it. It's living the dream, literally.
You worked a really long time for this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And hard. Yeah. And I was talking to some friends the other day. I have two major heroes in music. One is obviously Gary Newman, who he's been my hero since I was 12, and I've met him many, many times, and he's still a massive influence. But what is fantastic for me is Peter Spillers from Project Pitchfork, who I consider to be an enormous talent, and one of the nicest people, and genuinely enigmatic. He is genuinely Peter Spillers. His lyrics are amazing. Bear in mind he writes in English. I mean, I couldn't write a nursery rhyme in German, but he's a great talent, and I went from being a massive Project Pitchfork fan to being a friend of Peter's now. We support him on their US tour, and we speak on the phone, and we see each other all the time, and that's a huge honour for me to be friends with somebody who is one of my heroes. And so yeah, hello Peter.
We're talking to the bands, expecting with the first or second album to get the success of the big bands. Yeah. I always say, well, just work your ass off another 5 years, and then we can talk.
Totally. And well, there's a few bands in Germany actually. I won't name them, but I've seen them live, and I just can't understand why people like them, because the performance is, and they're very successful bands, and the performance is just crap. It's just cliched. But by the same token, you have some phenomenal. I mean, Der Graf, brilliant. Peter Spillers, amazing frontman. Steve Nagavi, great frontman. And those are the bands who've got longevity. Project Pitchfork have been around for a long time because they can perform live and entertain. Steve Nagavi, completely different thing, with dancing, but he's such a great entertainer, and that's why some bands, and again, I won't say the names, but they don't last because people go and see them. Boring.
Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting for me, you've done a lot of releases in the past, and just going back to the music itself, how do you produce your music? Do you draw sketches and involve other people, or do you everything alone? What is the progress?
It's all me, actually. It's completely personal. I know that my production is very different than everybody else's. I'm pleased about that. It may not be as the kick drum may not punch like Nachtaktiv, who I think's production's amazing, but it sounds like me and nobody else. And I write the songs at home. I use mainly hardware. Hardware synthesizers.
Real synthesizers.
Yeah, I don't like using laptops, because people who, what really annoys me is I've got a lot of friends in bands who we'll play and then copy it all the way through the song, copy and paste. That's not fucking making music. I want to play it all the way through and rock. I'm rocking back and forth, thinking, yeah, this is cool, and I put them together as sketches, and they evolve over time. Usually, we play them live before I record them. We played something new last week, which works so well that it's probably going to be a single. But I do it all from start to finish. It's me. I produce it, I mix it, and I have it mastered by another guy. But other than that, it's totally personal, and I want it to be like that because then my music lives or dies by me. You know, if it's successful, it's all my work. If it doesn't work, then I've got no one to blame except me. I'll blame somebody. I never do anything wrong.
Of course.
But yeah. It's very personal, and so I really struggle to write songs with other people.
How open are you for remixes? Do you remix other bands, or do you give out remix kits to selected artists, or is this a no-go for you?
I was very lucky, actually. I mean, I've had some big bands remix my stuff. Echozone did a remix of one of my songs very, very early on. Recently, we released an EP with Grendel, Code 64, Assemblage 23, NG Pro, some really great bands, and it's a huge honour to have those bands remix you. And we've got another remix EP coming. I don't really fancy doing remixes myself because I don't want to make people sound like me. Because I think that's what people do fundamentally. You know, a Combi Christ remix sounds like Combi Christ.
Yeah. It should be.
Yeah, because that's what people are paying for. And that's another thing, actually. I wouldn't ever pay someone to do a remix. I only, you know, for example, friends like Christian from Echozone or Josh from Grendel, if they will do me a remix because they're my friend and they like my music, that's an honour. But I don't want to pay people to do it because then it just becomes, you know, okay, I'll take that loop that I always use, I'll take that synth sound, bang, stick on the vocal. Not interested in that. I want people to do it because of love of it. But actually, I'm more into doing guest vocals. I've done one for Echozone, a song called Mission. Did one for Peter Spillers, a song called The Influence. Recently did the Tuscaloosa one. And at Wave Gothic Treffen, I can't tell you who it is, but I'm doing a guest vocal, which is going to be something absolutely spectacular. On the Park Buna, 2 songs. Neither of them are my songs, but with somebody very special. It's going to be incredible.
If you do a remix, most of the bands, you're absolutely right, take a song and put their usual sounds into it, so it sounds like the band, you know, and exchange something, and that's it. Yeah. Because, you know, it could be good, but it's, you know, it's without any spirit at all.
Absolutely.
So, and if you do a guest vocal, you add to the song a specific note without taking the song away and removing every spirit from the original song.
Well, I think you're adding a layer to it, which is very personal to you because it's your voice. But without trying to just make it sound like yourself, you know. And I think the best remixes are those remixes where people have obviously just done something completely new with the song, something completely new. And I think there's very few good remixes out there, actually. Combi Christ did an amazing remix of Mindless Self-Indulgence, the song straight to video, just incredible. Echozone do some good remixes. But it's rare. It's rare. Grendel did a really good remix of XP8. They just took a vocal sample and did something really unusual with it. And I think that's amazing. You know, rather than make it sound like Grendel. So no, I do consider remixes, but I'd rather not.
Okay, I totally agree because the music stands for itself.
Yeah,
absolutely. I totally agree. So
also, if someone said to me, you know, this remix of your song is better than the original, I'd be gutted, you know, because the original is the song. You know, anything else is just a reinterpretation. It can't be better than the original.
Yeah. That's interesting because it's, you know, it reduces the essence of the song to the original songwriting. Within, in contrary, most or a lot of electronic-based music is only based on, you know, some elements. uses standard bass drums, uses sounds, and that leads to a lot of bands sounding all the same.
Yeah.
And if you can't write songs, the songs are crap.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of that. There's several bands on the scene who are very, very successful on the strength of sounding like they should. You know, an Access Virus going, and a kick drum that goes. Well, very sorry, Scooter do that. You know, and Scooter do it very well indeed. You know,
Absolutely.
And they have a pumping kick drum, and they do it better than any EBM band does. So I really wish people would go out and do something different. You know, I think the best bands on the scene are bands who sound unique. You know, because who wants to listen to somebody who sounds like somebody else? I mean, I accept that I'm very influenced by Gary Newman, but Gary Newman's music is nothing like mine. You know,
absolutely not.
My vocals, because he's a huge influence, but other than that, I don't think I sound like anybody. And my favourite bands don't sound like anybody. I mean, who do Rammstein sound like? You know, they took some of D. Krups's parts, but, you know, turned it up to 675. You know, Rammstein are a one-off and therefore deserve all the success they get. Combi Christ, Angela Plague's a genius, but so many people go, oh, that's what's successful, I'll copy it. The new thing is you've got like the wave of Soman, Sam, XRX, those kind of almost hard dance. Well, you know, I really like choruses and melodies, you know, and so I think it's interesting, but I'd like to see pulling back towards sort of not synth pop as such, but something that's melody driven, you know.
I was thinking about the UK, your original UK influence, because in the UK there are some electronic-based industrial bands, but very, very less. Yeah, I mean, in German, there are tons of bands copying themselves.
Exactly. I mean, we kind of invented the electronic thing along with yourselves. I mean, there's Kraftwerk and Die Krupps and so forth, but when you got Gary Newman, Depeche Mode, Human League, Heaven 17, New Order, those kind of bands who really created that, you know, the electronic synth pop vibe. I think it was a shame that sort of by the late 90s we had VMV Nation and Mesh and nothing else. Now, you know, we're doing, you know, waving our flag for England. There's Modulate, who you know, who are very successful and got a great unique sound. Real good friends of ours. Uberbyte are another one, and there's a real wave of English bands. We're coming for you, Deutschland. Wir kommen.
Okay. This time you win.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Who has won the war, really?
Russia.
Don't mention the war.
I didn't. I was doing my best not to mention it.
Okay, it was nice talking to you. I expect a really great show and you will kick ass.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much too.